What's up, boys? Blacklight Jack here. This is going to be a live recording of me reading these reviews. There's no script here, none of that usual nonsense. I'm kind of just reading them as I go, just like in the High Guardian Spice thing where I read positive reviews of that one. So, let's get right into it and read some positive reviews. Before I get into the reviews, I'd like to say that I actually did look for articles defending this, and there really aren't any at all, except one. I found one article website, and I'm not reading it, right? I'm not reading it at all. And the reason why is because of the name of the website. And that may seem petty, but when you're giving a positive review towards a comic that just provides the bare minimum of LGBT body acceptance and etc., and the name of your website is womenwriteaboutcomics.com, you can kind of smell the bias wafting from the website page. I'm just saying. So yeah, we're gonna not read that, and we're just gonna go ahead and read some positive reviews I found, okay? The first thing I noticed about these reviews is that whereas High Guardian Spice was pretty much universally shit on to the point to where there was like, I don't know, maybe a couple of 5 stars, but there was like a million billion 1 stars. Yeah, I Am Not Starfire is not like that. I Am Not Starfire, it's actually like 3.4 out of 5 on Goodreads, 7.8 out of 10 on Comic Book Roundup. I mean, 3% of people like this book as Google user reviews, but still, these two primary topics here, these two primary review sites, the fact that they have anything over average kind of speaks for the standards of Western comics. I mean, I don't mean to be a dickhead, but I don't really know any other way of saying it. But yeah, I guess we could start off reading. Let's read the first 5-star review I'm looking at right here. I'd like to point out that this review is made by a user called Donica at the Lesbrary. So, yeah. This is getting review bombed. Sad face. Dear adult men angrily 1-star reviewing this YA graphic novel. Have you considered it's not for you? So, no, that's not the reason why I'm angrily reviewing this, because it's not for me, because this is not for anyone. The reason why I'm angrily reviewing this is because it's a story that does a lot of it's a story that tries to do a lot of things and does all of them wrong. That's why I'm angrily reviewing this piece of shit. So, yeah. Next up. I find it mind-boggling that in the year 2021, there are still adult men who get satisfaction out of shitting on media about teenage girls. Wow, the negative reviews on this one are so nasty and shallow. But anyway, this is a cute and heartwarming coming-of-age graphic novel. The sapphic romances is tentative and sweet. Yeah, it sure is. And Mandy's mix of jaded indifference and unhappy self-doubt is spot on. I do wish her complicated relationship with her mom was more fleshed out, and all in all, it feels a bit rushed. It's not as emotionally raw as some of Tamaki's other work, but it's still a fun read, and something I would have adored as a teenager. Okay, so, let me go ahead and talk about the first thing that caught my eye the most. If you seriously think that this relationship between fucking Mandy and that generic love interest girl is some kind of heartwarming, cute fucking thing, like you have to be on something. Like, I don't know what to tell you. If I need to tell you that this girl shitting all over this personality-free girl that's constantly simping over Mandy for basically no reason is not tentative and sweet in any other way, like, if I need to tell you that, then I do not know what to tell you. If someone needs to specifically inform you that there's absolutely nothing romantic about that weird-ass relationship, then you're fucking stoned, dude. You're on. You have to be on something. Also, the negative reviews are not particularly nasty and shallow. They're just pointing out the incredible low quality of this shit. I mean, don't get me wrong. There are some that are definitely OD, but hey, it's not without justification because this comic book is that bad. Okay, so here we go, another 5-star. This one's from a guy called TJ. There's been a lot of hate directed towards this book, and I think it's unreasonable. I just finished an advanced copy, and I was pleasantly surprised. This is definitely a book for teens that are familiar with the Teen Titans cartoons. Oh boy. And that's okay. If you're not the target audience for this, and this doesn't look like your thing, you can ignore it and move on. And if you're mad because it's not the canon you're used to, this book is an AU, alternate universe, like so many other recent titles, specifically the YA ones. But so many younger people are going to love this, and I really enjoyed it too. Surprisingly, I think it's easily the I think it's easily the best YA standalone they've put out. The tone was fun and meta, the art was beautiful and colorful, and the themes of exploring generational differences between immigrants, though through a literal alien, were handled well. All the while, this felt like a genuine teen voice too. The queer representation was also very casual, and I like that. It wasn't made out to be a big deal. If you grew up on the Teen Titans cartoon, this is a spiritual... Yeah, I can't laugh at that part. That actually kind of triggered me. I'm not gonna lie, I am legitimate. That sentence kind of triggers me. But anyway, this is a spiritual successor. I can't even say that without my stomach twisting. That you should check out, especially if you like YA 4.5 out of 5. Okay, let's just get to analyzing this piece by piece. Let me just break this down nice and clean. 1, as we've gone over, the hate is totally justified. This is the worst book ever. 2, this is not a fucking book that are this is not a book for people that are familiar with the Teen Titans lore. Want to know why? Because the very basic fundamental lore of the Teen Titans is completely shattered. How can you say that this is for Teen Titans fans when it does everything in its power to destroy everything related to Teen Titans fans' knowledge? It makes no sense. Like, how can this be for a Teen Titans fan when right off the bat, the most relevant character from the Teen Titans is completely out of character? And as for your excuse saying that it's not the canon you're used to because it's an alternate universe, I do agree, but at the same time, that does not justify butchering a character for no reason. And if you're going to butcher someone else's character or make it different or change it in some weird-ass way, at the very least, make it be something that's good, something that'll spice up the goddamn plot, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, Starfire's character change in this is not doing that. The character change for Starfire is not helping the story at all. In fact, it's hindering it. All it's doing, much like everything else in the story, is just it's just being twisted around for the sake of stroking Mariko Tamaki's ego. That's what that is. And as for the excuse of, oh, it's not for me, it's not my target audience, which is what I keep fucking hearing for some reason, you're absolutely right. This comic is very clearly not for me, but at the same time, I know objective quality when I see it, okay? And no young adult should be reading this shit at all. How can you say that a very blatant self-insert fantasy that just strokes the ego of the author and completely, while also throwing a renowned Teen Titans hero under the bus, is one of the best YA DC standalones, and on top of that, a comic that all Teen Titans fans should read? What's running through your brain that makes you say that? That's what I'm trying to find out. Also, another thing, I think it's pretty funny that the guy says that the relationship between an alien and Mandy is handled well, even though Mandy is straight up mocking and making fun of her accent around the end of the comic. But hey, whatever you say, perfectly great relationship handling. Okay, so I found another 5-star. Edit, first of all, edit. I have now read this comic, keeping the 5-star because I genuinely enjoyed this. First of all, I love the art. I'm going to have to check out that artist's other work. Secondly, as always, Mariko Tamaki killed it. I love that Mandy was gay. That's the first thing you fucking bring up, that you love that she was gay? Wow, okay. And I love the identity struggles due to her Tamaranian heritage and being the child of a hero. When I was growing up, Spider-Girl was one of my favorite comics, and I always felt like being the child of a hero would be a lot to deal with. I love the eventual villain as well, and Mandy's relationship with her mom. Starfire isn't a bad mom BDW, which some of the people who have yet to read this book seem to think. She's just the single mom of a teenager who's doing her best to understand her kid. This book is YA, so clearly it will not be for everyone, but if you're looking for a good-looking coming-of-age story about the child of Starfire, this is a great book for you. Okay, so, let's go ahead and just start off with the first thing that annoyed me. I love how the first thing you say that you adore about this main character is not her personality, not her thought processes, not the way she thinks, the way she acts, or the things she does. Just her not even sexual, just her romantic orientation. That'll do the trick for you. That's what makes you automatically fall in love with a character. Wow. You see the type of people that review this You see the type of people that, like, unironically enjoy Western comics? Anyway, Mandy does have to deal with the issue of being a child of a hero, but Tamaranian heritage, yeah, she doesn't have to deal with any of that shit at all. In fact, she doesn't, like, Tamaranian biology, any of the super specific stuff that comes along with being half of that race, she doesn't have to deal with any of it. In fact, she gets rewarded by having it by the end of the comic out of nowhere because the plot demands it. So I don't know what the hell you're talking about there. Okay, and whatever. This review also says that Starfire is not a bad mom, which, yeah, that's what I was trying to argue out in one of my review parts. But at the same time, she was still rewritten to be a completely out of character person who's like a coward, and that could easily be even worse. So yeah, regardless of whether she is a bad person or regardless of whether she's a good or bad mom, the fact that she's out of character to the point to where, honestly, it doesn't even matter whether this is Starfire you're looking at, it doesn't change anything, is what I'm trying to say. Whether Starfire is a good mom or a bad mom or not, if she's going to be this completely out of character for no good reason, it doesn't even matter if it is Starfire or not. Good grief, these reviews are so terrible. Alright, let's go to the next one. Okay, we got another 5-star review here. I noticed that this book has stirred up some controversy. Controversy? I don't know what I was doing there. I have no preconceived notions about Starfire. I had never even heard of her before. Wow, that automatically makes you a really valid review source. Wow, really? That's right off the bat telling us that you don't know shit about Starfire or the Teen Titans. Yeah, that's a really good sign. So her depiction and that of her daughter didn't concern me. At the heart, this was a story about an angsty emo lesbian teenager and her strained relationship with her mother, who doesn't understand her. The message of being true to yourself was very well done. What the fuck? What message? Female superheroes don't have to be scantily clad, slim, conventionally beautiful, and seemingly most importantly, have big boobs. Mandy may not look much like her bombshell mother, but she is a hero in her own unique way. She even gets the girl. The romance between Mandy and Claire was super adorable, and the happy ending was perfect. Oh boy, there's a lot to unpack here. There's a lot to unpack. Okay, hang on. Let me get a drink. Okay, I need a drink. Give me a second. Okay, so you're going out of your way to give this book that you have no lore context on a 5-star review. Probably does not make your review very reliable or legitimate. Just want to throw that out there again. Another thing, the heart of the story is indeed about an angsty emo lesbian teenager. But it's still running off Teen Titans lore, so it should have some of that actually be relevant to the plot, outside of a random-ass Deus Ex Machina and completely out-of-place showdown. Next up, the message. There is no message in this book. There is no message at all. In fact, even throughout the ending, after the weird-ass battle between Mandy and Blackfire, the character is kind of just going through the motions of a generic, happy ending scenario. And look, this fucking review goes on to talk about how female superheroes don't have to be scantily clad and conventionally beautiful, which that wasn't even talked about. That wasn't even mentioned or brought up in any way. Like, body positivity is like a background subject, okay? There's pretty much nothing to say about that. That conversation, that argument, that topic, that wasn't even verbally addressed, despite all the constant monologuing and weird-ass pseudo-intellectual conversation. And this fucking reviewer, I don't know what her name is, I don't care, goes on and on and on to say that that was the whole point of the story. You very clearly just gather that up yourself. And here's what I really think. I think you're just projecting your own insecurities onto what you want the story to be about. That's what I think. Like, why else? Like, how else could you gather such a completely out of place subject matter from this book when it's not brought up via dialogue at all throughout the comic? Like, this review is fucking terrible in the sense that this person is just grasping at straws and just making shit up. God. Alright, next review. Okay, so for this next review, I'm gonna read it in the Mandy voice if you guys don't mind, because it's worth doing right now. Okay, here we go. This was adorable, and I laughed out loud at multiple spots. There was so much I loved here. Starfire being a good mom, Mandy not being your typical thin character. Oh my fucking god. Mandy growing, but keeping the goth aesthetic. I had to buy this because all of the angry comic book assholes, and it was exactly what I wanted it to be. So thanks, DC, for selling out, I guess. Oh my fucking god. Oh my Christ. Okay, right. Let me go ahead and just talk about, yeah, this is gonna be a trend. Let me just talk about the first thing that annoys me the most. This guy didn't talk about the story. This guy, when it comes to Mandy, this motherfucker did not talk about the story. He didn't talk about, Mandy's personality. He didn't talk about the way the story breaks down or how Mandy suddenly pulls superpowers out of her ass. Didn't talk about the side characters. Didn't talk about the love interest. One of the first things this guy talks about, first fucking thing, I guarantee you this is a chick. I don't know why I'm saying this guy. The first thing this friggin' person points out is that Mandy is not your typical thin character. So right off the bat, that's just an instant A+ for this person that's reviewing. Don't talk about how Mandy's like slut-shaming her mom. Don't talk about how she's fucking making fun of her Tamaranian accent. Don't talk about how she's a jackass to everyone aside from one person for no good reason. Just talk about how she's not your typical thin character. Again, another fucking review where someone is very clearly just projecting their own desires into what they think the comic is. Like, they'll see one random tidbit that, you know, validates what they like or validates their own identity, and they'll instantly just say, oh, this is good. Again, just like in High Guardian Spice. I love how there's LGBT in the first episode, and they just threw it in there. Good show. There were lots of reviews on High Guardian Spice. Lots of articles that were praising the fuck out of High Guardian Spice for that exact reason. They didn't talk about the quality of the show. They didn't talk about the animation. Didn't talk about the poor writing. Didn't talk about the blatant misandry and propaganda. No, hey guys, look, this character has a trans representation in it. Here's your validation. Show is perfect. That's exactly what's happening here. People are just picking apart the most insignificant shit that validates them and appeals to them, and they act like it automatically makes the fucking piece of work a masterpiece. It's inclusivity validation is what this is. Inclusivity validation. I just made that word up on the spot. I feel smart now. But yes, that's what this is. And if you like non-thin characters, if you like LGBT characters, that's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you're gonna automatically call an entire piece of work good because of that, that's a fucking problem. Another review that's doing the exact same thing. Ashley Collins. Oh, another chick. I'm sure that's just a coincidence. This was so good. I really love seeing Starfire and the Titans from Mandy's perspective, and I love having a queer plus-size hero into the mix too. And the art was gorgeous. Again, they don't talk about the way Mandy acts, her bad personality, the way she's the way she's a dickhead, the way she's legitimately a toxic person that's about to get into a toxic relationship. None of that shit. Oh, she's LGBT and she's plus size, so she's my idol now. That's what I'm fucking talking about. God, man. Okay, so this is going to be the last review I'm going to cover. It's short, it's sweet, and I think it just is a perfect microcosm of what type of person would defend this comic. I love things that piss off men, and this so clearly did. Heart, heart. In all seriousness, this was everything I enjoy. Queer, superheroes, cute and goth aesthetics, and plus size representation. This is a quick read. I think maybe 30 or 45 minutes. Definitely worth it. I hope there is more to Mandy's story in the future. See, this is what I was talking about. This is exactly what I was talking about in part 3, maybe part 2 of my... I don't remember. I've done way too many of these. The only type of person that would unironically defend I Am Not Starfire, Mandy, and Mariko Tamaki is someone that's on the same level of douchebag and probably weirdo misandrist freak show Twitter user as Mariko Tamaki. And I think this review right here sums it up perfectly. Okay, I think that's about it for 5-star reviews. I feel like if I read any more of these, my brain is going to actually f***ing fry. But to keep it simple, all of these reviews basically say the same white knight bullshit. Oh, this comic is not for you. It's like... that's not the problem with this comic. The problem with this comic is that it's of objectively poor quality, and no one should be reading this shit regardless of age group. Probably someone younger than me is going to enjoy this, definitely, but that's because teenagers are fucking stupid and impressionable. Like, I can't help but notice that all of these reviews, even back in the High Guardian Spice defense committee over there, these reviews all have this really, like, obnoxious, like, hipster condescending, like, oh, contrarian, hey, I'm defending it so very clearly I'm just smarter than these people who are just shitting on it for no good reason. Like, that's the mentality these people have when they're reviewing this shit, you know? And since none of these motherfuckers actually have anything intelligent to say regarding defending the show outside of, hey, it's got gay people and the girl's body positive, quote unquote, then, well, just makes them all look like idiots. Also, another thing, body positive. This comic is not body positive at all. It's constantly shaming Starfire for not looking the exact same way Mandy does. So, yeah, Starfire is blatantly showing off her body all the time because she has to. It's important to her superpowers. And yet, Mandy blatantly slut shames her for it. But hey, body positivity, that's totally body positive, right, guys? Like, that's what I'm talking about. These motherfuckers think they're all inclusive and shit, but at the end of the day, they're just shitting on anything that makes them feel insecure. Can't fucking tolerate that shit, man. It's this thing that I like to call inclusivity bias, where they like to think they're all inclusive and all that shit, where they like to think that they're super open-minded, but whenever anything they don't like is clear on display, the creator in question very clearly has a personal issue against it. The only place you're gonna find unironic defense of this garbage is probably on a place like Twitter, or maybe a place like this, Goodreads.com, because a lot of these websites serve as little safe space echo chamber bubbles for the type of people that would enjoy such brain-dead bile like this. Why do you think every single user that I've pointed out that's reviewing this so far has a username that looks like... I don't want to judge a book by its cover, no pun intended, but they all look like a bunch of feminist ladies on Twitter. Obviously not every single one is probably like that, but I mean, you put 2 and 2 together, it's kind of difficult not to come up with 4 here is what I'm trying to say. It's just so weird how these people are not capable of seeing the fact that Mariko Tamaki's just shoving her own personal issues into the comic. And don't get me wrong, all creators when they write or make a comic or something like that, at some point they're always going, like, their life experiences are always going to be able to bleed into their work, right? That's just normal. That's how creations work. But at the same time, it's not literally someone just shoving their personal issues into the comic, like point from point photographic memory ass shit into the comic, and expect you to take their side on everything. That's just you expecting the reader to be your fucking therapist. And the reason why these reviewers don't see that shit is because they don't want to. They don't want to see something that all of the evil anti-SJW idiots are shitting on. They don't want to see it as that. They don't want to see a piece of work that is being hated on for a good reason. They don't want to see that. They don't want to see an aggressively mediocre, lazy comic where a middle-aged woman just projects her 2-decade-old issues into a comic. They don't want to see that. That's why these people have such condescending attitudes towards the entire situation. That's basically a general synopsis of all these reviews. They all have a tendency of blurting out the same thing. Oh, this comic's not for you if you hate it. And it's like, no, that's not why I hate this comic. And pretty much every single these individuals think that pretty much every single person is like crying just because it's not exactly what they want. It's nonsense like that. Individuals who intentionally miss the point of why all the hate is there, just like with High Guardian Spice. Guys, it takes a very specific type of person to defend this, and that's these people. But you guys are smart. You can see a bad piece of work when something is bad. And with that said, I don't want to end this all on a negative note. I want to let you guys know something. A lot of people who watch my videos and figured out about I Am Not Starfire, High Guardian Spice, and all that good stuff seem to be really afraid of making their own stories now because they're afraid they're going to make something as bad as, well, this or the previous things I've talked about. And I need to let you guys know something. No, there is no way you can make something this bad. There's just not. If you guys have the self-awareness to understand that these very basic cliches awkwardly being lodged together, the subtext, all of the pandering nonsense of things like HGS and dumpster fire are present, then you have the ability to make something good. So don't ever be scared to make your own piece of work, okay? You guys will always be able to make something better than whatever garbage I'm talking about for the month. I know I'm being out of character positive right now, but I just want to make sure you guys know that. I don't want anyone to be scared of creating something. What you guys make is gonna rock. Meanwhile, this piece of trash, I Am Not Starfire, sucks. And before I put the final nail in the coffin on this series, let's go ahead and get our Patreon roll call. You know the drill. The $10 donors are Duke Dragon Hearthfire the 10th, Ellamations, and Procrastinator Dave. My $5 donors are Ayan, Dragonlight Z, Stormy Knight, Travis, and Wes Franklin. As always, if you'd like to be in the credits as well, just catch me on patreon.com/blacklightjack. Thanks for watching, boys.